Morning, everybody, and welcome again to Vitality and Vision. It is your time to shine, where I, Carol Lovely, will share some tips to help you to revitalize your energy and proactively explore all those brilliant, unlimited possibilities within. It's a great opportunity to connect with others and explore this new age of expansion and outrageous potentials. So, I'm here on Lake Harriet Spiritual Communities Facebook page live the second and fourth Wednesdays um, in the month at 9 a.m. So last time I shared insight on how you can deepen your gratitude practice and the profound effects this can have on your life. And we explored how it's not just a thought. Gratitude isn't just a thought. It can be much deeper if you drop into that actual vibration of gratitude and experience that vibe in your cells and in your life. So, we talked about liking the levels of gratitude from liking, enjoying, appreciation, grateful for, and then deep gratitude, where you're able were you able to explore any of those deeper levels of gratitude? Did you have some good experiences with that? If so, share those below. It'll be really helpful for others. And if you have any questions, certainly let me know below too. So today I'm going to share a few tidbits on intuitive extrasensory gifts, abilities, and skills. And I know that many of you who tune in here on Lake Harriet Spiritual Communities page, may have already identified and developed your strongest innate or inner senses in order to really open the door to that powerful guidance and that helps you to create a meaningful and magical life. However, others are curious about these inner senses and wondering if they have abilities and how to strengthen or further develop their own connection to their inner guidance system. So today I'm just going to start at the beginning with what are these attributes, inner senses, or as many people call them, the clairs. So early on, when I was developing my spiritual connection, um, like many, I had questions and self doubts. I was just starting to open up to this unseen world, and while it seemed pretty exciting on one hand, I often didn't really understand what was happening, and the guidance for me and others 25 years ago was pretty limited. And luckily today there's a lot more resources out there. It was kind of a long process to really begin to understand and believe the validations or the evidence from the spiritual guidance that was assisting me. So, in helping me to build that genuine connection with that unseen world and with the energy of that unseen world. So, as I started to explore the language of spirit and better understand how intuition works, I realized that my dominant way of receiving intuitive information was more kinesthetic or feeling that energy rather than auditory or visual, like some of my colleagues at the time. With time, I learned that we all usually have one or two dominant intuitive senses. We have them all, but one or two would be more dominant, certainly in the beginning, and that we all connect with spirit in our own unique way. Our job is to figure out what that way is and then simply embrace it and let that energy teach us. So, like radio waves, spiritual information is constantly being broadcast all around us. So, it's really just a matter of learning how to tune into it to interpret what spirit is broadcasting. And you'll be using your five senses just like you do in your everyday life. It's just as you feel that some of your senses are more reliable to you in your everyday judgments, you will have intuitive senses, or what people call the clairs, that are stronger for you, and will be stronger for you as you're learning to connect with spirit. So as you learn to tap into your intuition and spiritual energy, your mind and body can become flooded with mental impressions, thoughts, feelings, images, sounds, tastes, smells, to help you to determine what your dominant intuitive senses are, let's start by just explaining what all of them are, what each of them are. So, whether you refer to it as a gut reaction, instinct, foresight, a certain knowingness about an event from the past, or those that haven't even taken place yet, something coming in the future, everyone has the gift of intuition. And we just need to learn how to listen to those signs and signals. And finally, before I jump in here to helping us learn what each of these are, many people have shared with me that they haven't used their gifts at all, or that it's been years since they used those gifts, and they wonder if they've suppressed them for good, or if it's too late to turn them back on and develop them. I just want to say, if that's you, it's never too late. It's like any other muscle in your body. It requires patience and practice, and it will strengthen over time. And all of us started out somewhere. And over time, we learn to listen and hone in on our intuition, and you can too. So, Claire, which is spelled Clair, means clear in French. So, let's start with clairvoyance. Clairvoyance is the art of seeing clearly what is not usually perceived with your traditional sight. When most people think of psychic mediums, this is the first thing that comes to mind. Clairvoyance is an intuitive ability most often portrayed in films or on TV. It's the ability to see things in your mind, possibly before they happen. So, clairvoyance may have a very active, vivid dream life or daydreams in which they visualize people or events in their mind. Some people use the word or the term clairvoyant um, the same way they would the word psychic. But really, clairvoyance is just one of the clairs that can be used. So, clairvoyant messages which arrive um, as an image or a scene in your mind usually come as a metaphor, and visions past, present, and future may flash through your mind's eye or your third eye, much like a daydream. So many of us are highly visual and are able to understand an idea best if we see it written down, or we see a sketch of it, or an image, or a canvas. Visual people often choose to be artists, builders, photographers, decorators, designers, and so forth. If this sounds familiar to you, your clairvoyance is most likely your more dominant sense. This intuitive sense can include seeing images, short metal, short mental videos, numbers, letters, maybe flashes of light, symbols, mist, fog, colors, orbs, shapes in your mind, or even shadows out of the corner of your eye. Seeing colors was one of the first things that opened up for me. So, if you don't have this ability, do not think for a minute that you are not intuitive or have wonderful skills to be developed. Many very intuitive people don't even have this ability. And in the beginning, mine was pretty limited when it came to visual. Yet, there you can still receive messages through your other gifts. And let's move on and explore what some of those are. So, next, we're going to talk about clairaudience. So, clairaudience is the art of clear hearing, either in a physical sense or with your mind's inner hearing. A person with clairaudience may hear a loved one reaching out to them telepathically, trying to commute maybe from the other side of the country or even in an afterlife. Those with clairaudience may interact well with animals as they can hear or understand what an animal is thinking. They may also be musically gifted and easily learn to play an instrument by ear. Clairaudient messages sound like someone talking in your mind, but this voice is never really like harsh or tormenting. The tone of this voice is always the same, kind of like even, calm. You may hear words, sounds, music in your mind's voice. On rare occasions, spirit may be able to create audible sounds, though this takes some focus and energy. Some of us best retain and comprehend information if we hear it spoken out loud. So our natural talents tend to lie in our auditory facilities, often making us gifted musicians, singers, writers, or public speakers. If that feels right to you, clairaudience may be a leading sense for you. With this gift, you may also be sensitive to noise at times, loud noise, like a TV up too loud or a loud party. Things like that can really bother you. You might feel irritated or even get a headache. And sometimes you may find yourself needing to find quiet time to feel grounded and decompressed. Another subtle sign that many don't consider as part of this is you might often hear buzzing or ringing or a high pitched sound in your ears sometimes that appears to come out of nowhere, and there's no medical cause for it. I have this a lot. So that's most likely your spirit guide, an angel, or a loved one saying hello. And also, when you're in danger, sometimes people have reported hearing somebody say, "Stop," or a very loud voice, and turn around to see that there was really nobody there. So, let's move on to clairsentience. So, clairsentience is the art of feeling with your physical body. You may feel strong empathy for others or feel as if you can identify with another person's pain, even if you haven't experienced their situation. Some people with clairsentience can be affected emotionally by the atmosphere of their surroundings or by the attitudes of those around them. Clairsentient messages come through as feelings, um, and this is one of the most common of the clairs. If someone has a physical ailment, when I'm working with them as a client, I will often briefly feel something that's going on in their body, in my body. So, for instance, if I feel some tightening in my leg or an ache in my leg, it may be that that client or person has had a surgery in that area. Or my throat might often feel tight briefly during a session if the client is having some challenges expressing themselves. Many of us who are clairsentient without consciously being aware of it, we get that strong gut feeling, a positive or negative about someone that you just met, or you might get chills for no apparent reason, or you may be tuning into the emotional energy of a person or a spirit around you. When you're highly sensitive and are in tune with not only your own feelings but other people's feelings, this makes us often really natural healers or caregivers, and people are often inspired to pursue a career maybe as a doctor, a therapist, a counselor, nannies, or teachers. So if this is you, clairsentience may be one of your top senses. So we're going to move on here to claircognizance, which is the art of clear knowing when you have an awareness or a thought previously unknown that presents itself as being true. So an example of this would be, have you ever been thinking about somebody and then all of a sudden they call? People with this gift tend to automatically know which path is the best to be taken in a given situation, or they may know things about people such as, maybe that person is dishonest. This intuitive ability is when our brains get an immediate download from our intuition, kind of like a download of information to your computer. Although when it happens with a human brain, that download occurs in a few seconds and your intuition has a really great connection. It's like spirit impresses us with truth that simply pops into your mind from out of nowhere. An example of this, again, would be a premonition or a forewarning that something is going to happen in the future. So claircognizance requires tremendous faith because there's often no practical explanation for why we suddenly know something. Many philosophers, professors, doctors, scientists, religious and spiritual leaders, and powerful sales and business leaders tend to be highly intuitive and seem to know the facts with a sense of certainty. So again, if this is you, you might consider that claircognizance is one of your dominant senses. it's kind of like, when you find yourself saying, I know, but I don't know why I know, but I really know something. Um, it's a huge sign that this might be your gift. And also, one more thing about this is sometimes while you're deep in thought, you might get a flash or an insight about solving a problem, but you might also get some really great ideas or solutions and insights in those aha moments when you're just doing something else that's active, like when you're driving the car, or you're working out, or you're in the shower, or you folding laundry. You might get some really good insights when you're just um, not particularly asking for them, but boom, in they come. You also have this knowing feeling on what someone is like, and you might have a hunch about people or an idea without knowing much about them beforehand. So let's move on to I think it's Clairaudience, but if I'm saying that wrong, I apologize, but it means clear smelling. So this is being able to smell odors that don't have any kind of physical source. So there's an instance where you could smell perfume or maybe cigarette smoke of a deceased relative. That's kind of a sign of a presence, of them having a presence around you. Um, and when this sometimes happens for me when I'm with a client, I smell something and I say, "Ooh, I'm really smelling a cigar. Do you know anybody who, smoked a cigar?" And from there, we kind of move into a whole lot of information. Anyways, when your sense of smell is strong and distinct, you may find that certain smells connect us to past memories, or they may be, or maybe you're a past memory for somebody else, or if you have this as one of your gifts, you may be drawn to maybe work as a florist or a wine taster or maybe a perfume fragrance creator. And yes, it is an intuitive ability that people often don't realize is one of their inner gifts. So some people have thought like they're going crazy because they're smelling things out of nowhere. So we're going to move on here once again to clairgustance, which means clear tasting. This is the ability to taste something that isn't actually there. This experience oftentimes comes out of the blue when a deceased or a loved one is attempting to communicate a memory or an association that we have to a particular food or beverage that reminds us of them. Um, so, um, an example of that might be that all of a sudden you're tasting the brownies that you remember your grandmother made. So, if you have this as a heightened sense, then you might make a really good natural chef or a baker or maybe a food critic. And again, this is a very intuitive ability that often people do not realize is a gift that they have. Um, and some people taste things like even feelings. There's a particular taste that comes into their mouth if they're feeling, sadness with themselves or somebody else. And some people are even able to predict the weather because they know what rain tastes like in their mouth. Um, or when they think of a certain person, again, they get some kind of taste that comes to them that's kind of like a confirmation, like the example I just gave of the brownies your grandmother made. So, those are the 5 intuitive categories for you to explore. So, I would invite you to take some time with us to really kind of go within, take some deep breaths, settle into your quiet place, and see which of these 1 or 2 particular um, categories, gifts, clairs that you might tune into with your heart and your heart's knowingness that you would want to explore, that feel like, oh, maybe that's something that is here for me to really open up into and to expand. So once you're aware of the different ways your intuition and spirit can speak to you, a door, a very powerful guidance can open, which can assist you in really creating a meaningful and a magical spiritual journey. I know, my gifts have opened for me over time, and I've really been amazed and excited to help other people to open their gifts over time. So that's it for today. We have fun exploring your intuitive gifts and what they might be. And let us know some of your findings below here in the comments if you'd like. And certainly, if you have any questions, ask the questions, and I will certainly come back and answer them for you. I will see you all again on Wednesday, March 10th at 9 a.m. And if you're looking for any more opportunities, meditation classes, you can find them on lakeharrietspiritualcommunity.org. That's their website, or they're also posted in the feed here on their Facebook page. And there's also a button on their website for donations, which are always greatly, greatly appreciated. And I also just want to let you know quickly, next Tuesday, March 2nd at 7 p.m., I will be on Zoom leading the Lake Harriet Spiritual Community's Tuesday meditation. And you can sign up for that on my website at carollovely.com. Book now. There's a Lake Harriet Spiritual Community section on that page, and just choose the meditation and register, and I'll send you the link for Zoom, and a portion of the fee for that evening, which is $10, is shared with Lake Harriet. And you know what? Meditation is a really great way to explore and practice all of these intuitive gifts. And, we might have some fun things that we could do on Tuesday that would help you to really kind of open up and maybe explore this on a new level. And when we're in a group, there's just a morphic field of energy that comes together that helps us to go deeper perhaps than we are able to do by ourselves. So please, by all means, if that's enticing to you, join me for that meditation. Again, that's March 2nd at 7 p.m. So I've also added these live tidbit vitality and vision moments on my YouTube page at Carol Lovely, and on my free page on my website, which again is carollovely.com. So that's it for today. Bye for now, and I will see you again soon.